The policies of the occupying elite and state failure. Pakistani youth suffer from mental stress and lack of direction. ضیاءالحق Amir Khan. Today's Pakistani youth are not just victims of unemployment or inflation. They are trapped by a system that has attacked their thinking, self-confidence, and future. This is a deep wound, one that is inflicted not just on the pocket, but on the soul. When I look around, I keenly feel the reality that we are not just one generation, but a group going through a shared mental struggle. In my own life, every day, being caught up in the clutches of these flawed policies starts a new mental to-go war. Sometimes an anxiety attack hits, and sometimes an endless cloud of despair overtakes the heart. These moments in life, where every conscious person should be planning to move forward, are spent fighting just to survive. This isn't just my story. It is the reality of every aware young person today who has dreams in their eyes, but has the shackles of an occupying elite's style of governance on their feet. This elite is not just limited to financial corruption. It is actually an intellectual and political structure that has held the state hostage. Its policies are not made for progress and prosperity, but to perpetuate its dominance and rule. The monster of aimlessness and the absence of national development. When your country's system is constantly in a state of uncertainty and political instability, the process of guidance and direction for the youth becomes completely paralyzed. A young person doesn't understand which field to specialize in, which industry is sustainable, or which skill guarantees a future. Every incoming government or a powerful group changes its priorities, creates contradictions in economic policies, and thus a young person's 5-year career plan becomes meaningless in just a few months. This aimlessness destroys the youth's internal self-confidence. They think, if the state itself does not know where it is going, what can a single individual do? Our sectors of education, health, and most importantly, employment are the clearest examples of this strangulation. Youth enter the field armed with degrees, but the systemic murder of merit causes them to stumble at every step. Opportunities are not created where ability lies, but where recommendation or political affiliation exists. When you realize that your hard work, your capability, and your merit have no value, then mental stress is no longer a temporary state but a permanent residence. Waking up from bed every morning becomes a challenge because, that a world awaits outside where doors are opened based on your connection, not your competence. Shahid Khan, Abbasi's encouragement, and the system's shackles. In this atmosphere of hopelessness, I involuntarily call leaders like former Prime Minister Shahid Khan Abbasi. He always encourages me, saying, "Brave young people like you are the beginning of change. This is a difficult time, but don't lose hope." His words, his experience, and his simplicity provide temporary relief against this corrupt system, bringing temporary peace to the soul. But when the call ends, the grip of the system begins to suffocate again. That bitter reality, that's helplessness, that despair returns, confirming that individual effort and moral support cannot be the solution to a complete, deep-rooted structural problem. We must now understand that this fight is no longer just about inflation. It is about saving the dreams and morale of brave young people. The occupying elite has not only locked the doors to our future, but has attempted to imprison our souls. They want the youth to become mentally exhausted, hopeless, and lose the strength to rise against them. The psychological anguish of the new generation and the possibility of rebellion. The psychological anguish is severe. The fear of unemployment, rising debt, and the feeling of personal failure after seeing the artificial successes of others on social media bring the youth to a point where they consider themselves a burden on the country. They are forced to leave their homeland, and those who remain live in a state of helplessness and anger. This anger is not visible in street protests, but it reflects in the quiet eyes of every conscious young person. The failure of state institutions, their contradictory policies, and the protection of only their own class interests are turning this mental unease into a collective tragedy. The country's biggest asset, its young generation, is currently suffering the most from aimlessness and mental stress. This situation is proof of the complete failure of the state, which is not only unable to utilize its most precious resource, but is psychologically destroying it. But there is also hope that this condition will not last long. Every occupier has to retreat one day. This aimlessness and mental stress, upon reaching a critical point, can turn into a form of rebellion, becoming the foundation of an intellectual revolution. We must turn our individual struggles into a collective consciousness and use the encouragement of elders like Shahid Kokan Abbasi as a basis for systemic change. Because he is right, change begins with brave young people like us.